Warning: viewers' discretion is advised as this may contain mature or triggering content. Story prompt: Music. Title: Music Found You. Music flowed through the auditorium, rolling across people in sweet waves. On stage was a single person, a girl with light brown hair, blue eyes, and a light blue dress. Her body swayed softly with every major note change as she blew into the flute. Her eyes closed as the end approached, and the sweet melody quickened before ending. There was a moment of silence before clapping and cheers erupted from the crowds. She gave a small bow before turning and exiting the stage, her mother there in moments. "That was a lovely performance, though you were a bit quick in the middle." Anna nodded. "I know. It's just, I felt it again." Her mother frowned. "Honey, I know you keep saying you feel a strange pull once in a while, but I think it's just your nerves." Anna sighed as she disassembled her flute. It happened to her often, almost all the time, about as frequently as she practiced her flute. What made it even more strange was it felt like she could feel someone else's emotions and hear a piano. She sighed softly. "Are you ready to leave, honey?" She nodded. "Are we going to another audition?" Her mom smirked. "Nope. It's your birthday. You're turning 17. It's so odd. I could have sworn I had you yesterday." Anna flinched. "Ew, Mom." Her mother simply smiled. "I made reservations at your favorite place." Anna's eyes glowed with joy. "For real?" They headed off to go eat. 2 hours away. Eric smiled as he closed his eyes, remembering the sound of the flute and the joy he had felt from it. His hands gently brushed the keys of the piano before him, barely making noise. But he was pulled from his thoughts when there was a crashing noise and he heard his father and mother fighting. His blue eyes opened with pain. When will this end? He put headphones on and turned on his music. The sound of a piano and flute filled his ears as he rested his head against the piano. He didn't hate music. He loved it. But why? Why did his parents fight so much because of it? Because of him? Tears pricked his eyes, splashing against the smooth, painted wood of the grand piano's key cover. He wanted to escape from this hell he lived in. He wanted to find the girl that he dreamed about, the same one who he could hear playing the flute so sweetly. Maybe it was all just some fantasy he had created to try and escape his miserable life. Anytime he was able to hear and feel the strange girl's flute playing, he tried playing the song she was. He'd come to notice she would do the same for him. It was the best comfort he had ever felt. It was even better than the music he was currently listening to. The only bad part was, he doubted she was real. His mother had taken him to a therapist when he had first mentioned it. Of course, it had started a fight again. But the therapist had told him it was simply his mind making him a safe place. It was heartbreaking to think that, but he had yet to hear someone play with the energy he felt. So, perhaps, it was all in his head, and for some reason, even though his playing caused fights, he couldn't let it go. A week later. "Honey, are you sure you want to go to this contest? It's cutting it close to the Fall Fest contest, and I don't want you pushing yourself too much." Anna nodded. "Yes, Mom. If I wasn't sure, I wouldn't have mentioned it, but for some reason, I know I need to go to it. Besides, did you see the prize money for first place? If we get that, then we won't have to worry about Dad's upcoming hospital fees." Anna's mom gave her a soft smile. "Sweetie, you know I make more than enough to cover those. Why are you worried about it?" Anna smiled softly. "Because that's all you ever worry about, either Dad or me. You never take any money you make and spend it on yourself. So, if I can get first place, if you don't want to use it for Dad, then use it for yourself. Go to the spa, get your hair and nails done, anything. You just need a day to yourself without worries." Anna's mother pulled her into a hug. "Sweetie, just being able to watch you play is everything to me. Your father's getting better every single day. It's enough for me. You two are my world and you deserve everything I could possibly give." She returned her mom's hug. "I know, and that's exactly why I said you need to take a day to yourself." Her mother sighed. Fine. After the Fall Fest contest, even if you don't win the Music Mastered competition, I will take a day to myself. Her mom glanced at the Music Mastered paper. We have to drive about 3 hours to get to the Music Mastered competition, and they want everyone there a day early to practice and make sure no spots are wasted. After that, we'll need to head out because the Fall Fest contest is the day after, and it's another 2-hour drive. Anna nodded. I know. It won't tire you out, will it? If so, we don't need to worry about the mastered one. Her mother tightened her arms. How can I deprive my baby of trying to earn me a day of vacation? 2 hours away. You signed him up for what? Eric flinched as his father's anger turned towards him. Father, if I win this, it'll give us a prize of $5,000. His father growled at him, raising a hand back and slapping him. Ben! Eric's mother shouted. You think I care about the money, boy? You think I need your pathetic money? How dare you look down upon me? No better than your mother. Do we lack in this household? Have I not provided for you properly? His father spat at him, and he trembled. No, that's not it. Damn straight. I'm just tired of you wasting my time. All this long-distance traveling for a performance that isn't even gonna do anything in your life. You need to start looking for a real job, something that will provide for you once you leave this house. Eric clenched his jaw, looking to the floor. Sorry. Eric's mother moved over to them. Ben, please. I can't withdraw him. If I do, there's a fee. What? The two of them flinched, but thankfully Eric's father turned storming out in anger, muttering about how stupid the two of them were. Eric's mother turned to him. Let me see that. He pushed her hands away. It's fine, Mom. Sweetie, please. This is all my fault anyways. He shook his head. No, it's not, Mom. I want to do this competition. I wish Father would. His mother pulled him into a hug. I know you love music like I do, but your father, he thinks it'll lead you astray. Eric stared at her. Why? But, as usual, his mother remained silent, even when he asked about it. Day before the Music Mastered competition. Hello everyone, you all know who I am, Michael Friends. I would like to welcome you all who decided to join this competition. Of course, you didn't know I was the host of this lovely competition. I wanted it to be a surprise for you all. I know the winning prizes are rather large, but please remember that that's not what this is all about. I want each of you to come up on this stage and play your souls out. I want to see all of you bring tears to the audience's eyes. Those in the auditorium began to clap. Now, I know I asked you all to arrive a day early, but that is because I want everything about this concert to be as perfect as possible. To be honest, I know those of you who signed up are well known, and my dying grandmother wanted to go to one last concert. I decided the best way to go about it was to hold this competition, one where you could all enjoy it as well. Anna listened as the man spoke. It was a very honorable thing to do, not only fulfilling his grandmother's last wish, but also helping rising musicians. She glanced around, seeing people she had been up against before, as well as some she hadn't. She felt a mix of excitement and nervousness that always filled her about each contest. Her mom told her that it didn't matter if she won or not, but she was hoping to win. Even if her mom didn't want to use her money from the competition, it would at least still be there. Anna was so grateful to her mother and her father, even if he wasn't doing well. The two of them still agreed to allow her to pursue her love for music. She was pulled from her thoughts. You all should have received numbers for your performance spots, correct? If you didn't, please be sure to inform any of my staff members and we will fix it. So, without delay, will number 1 come up? Remember, don't play the piece you're playing for tomorrow. While I know what each of you intend to play, be it something from a professional or your own personal piece, I want you to save it all for tomorrow's performance. It had been about an hour. Number 8, please come up. Anna was already standing at the edge of the steps, waiting to come up on the stage. Everyone fell silent as she stood on the stage before raising her flute and playing a song she had created. She closed her eyes, breathing into the flute and moving her fingers to the holes needed to hit every note. Her eyes opened as she played, hoping to see someone stand up in shock or move her way, but no one did. Every time she played at one of these things, she hoped to find her person, but every single time she was let down. Her disappointment made her squeak, and she flinched before finishing the song and heading off the stage. "Honey, are you okay?" Anna nodded. "Probably just tired from the drive." Her mom frowned. "Well, they didn't need us here for anything else, so let's get some rest." 3 hours away. Mom. Angelica glanced at him. "What is it?" "You've been silent this whole time, glancing at me, and I know you want to say something." Angel had a good feel as to what it might be, and right now she couldn't run from the question. Eric took in a deep breath before glancing at her. No. Why does father hate me?" he asked, staring out the window as they passed cars. There was a bruise forming over his right eye, where his father had punched him moments before they had left. "You never answer me, and I have to put up with this kind of treatment from him all the time, when you aren't home." He could vaguely feel and hear the performance done by his imagination, as if it were trying to give him courage to find out the truth once and for all, but even it seemed to mess up, and then it was gone and done. It left him feeling oddly cold and alone. No, if he were to be honest, the emotions he had felt were all muddled to begin with. Perhaps that was why the flute had made an awful squeaking noise. Maybe the flute player really was a figment of his imagination. The silence his mother left him in, though, only hurt. "Mom, I want to know why I have to put up with those beatings." Eric's voice was somewhat cold, and he noticed that they had pulled off to the side of the road. What was more, his mother was crying. "I'm sorry," she whispered, doing her best to wipe away her tears. "Mom, I didn't know. It's all my fault." "What is?" Eric felt scared as he watched his mom sob. "The reason your father hates music so much and treats you this way is because you aren't his son." Eric felt cold as his mother rushed to explain about how she had gotten drunk celebrating a competition win and woke up in bed with a friend of hers by the name of Michael Franz. Michael Franz? As in the famous pianist? Owns his own company?" Eric asked, and Angel nodded. I I told your father because Michael wanted to pretend nothing had happened at the time. It was a very important time in his career, you see, and his mother's voice seemed to fade as everything clicked into place, and somehow he felt sick, and the thought of competing in the competition, no, even touching a piano, sickened him. By the time they arrived at the competition it was too late to practice, but since they had arrived, Eric had been given a new number and would be performing last. Still, though, he didn't talk to his mother or even bother eating. Day of the competition. People who had bought tickets to watch this unusual competition arrived, whispering among themselves until Michael appeared on the stage. Everyone in the competition waited backstage, and that included Anna and Eric. Eric's mother was sitting in the front and gasped as she took notice of Michael, but surely he wouldn't remember her. After their incident, he had cut ties with her, and she had done the same, or at least tried to. The competition rolled on, and everyone who stepped on the stage played wonderfully. Anna's turn grew closer, and she got nervous, but it was nothing new. Eric, however, was dreading things as each person finished. He felt more sick with each passing moment. Eric turned to leave as contestant 8 stepped onto the stage, her introduction echoing in the back of the stage. "Glad to be here. My name is Anna Violet. I'll be playing a song I made. As you know, the score for it sits before you judges. I hope you enjoy it. It's called Music Found You. It means a lot to me, and I hope it'll mean the same to you." She bowed to them before placing the flute to her lips and letting the first notes flutter out. Eric froze mid-step, his heart racing as he listened to the song play on. His body felt possessed as he turned, heading for the front of the stage, and no one could stop him. He was panting as he burst through the curtain, surprising everyone, but Anna only glanced at him and continued her song. He moved to the piano and sat down, his fingers shaking as he brushed the keys, before he followed her every note. A new wave of shock filled Anna, and she turned her back to the audience to stare at the boy who was playing the piano in tears. She paused, seeing if it was truly him, if he would play the solo part he had played for her in her mind, and he did. Tears pricked her eyes as she closed the gap between them, and she played once more, the flute's high notes, smooth and comforting, matching the deeper tone of the piano. The end came, far too soon, and silence filled the room before people began to clap and whistle for their performance. Neither Eric or Anna heard it, though, as Eric stood, rushing Anna and pulling her into a harsh hug. "I found you," he mumbled into her shoulder as he trembled. Anna nodded, her arms wrapping around him firmly. "At last." "I knew you were real. There was no way you were just my imagination," he said as he pulled back slightly to stare at her. "Same." Eric and Anna's mothers rushed to the stage, both confused and concerned. Michael also appeared on stage. "Well, that was an unexpected blessing on the ears and heart. I'm sure everyone could agree we felt your emotions clearly. However, this was a solo competition, and as such—" Michael's eyes landed on Angelica as she moved to her son. "Angel?" Eric and Anna glanced at their mothers, both seeming to come back to their senses. Eric glanced to the man who had called his mother's name. "Father?" he muttered, making those on the stage gasp. Those in the crowd, though, couldn't hear what he had just called Michael. Eric now wished that it was just him and Anna once more, because he had no clue what was about to happen now. The end! I'm just kidding. I've actually enjoyed this a lot more than what I thought I would. I fell in love with the characters, and I hope you have as well, because the story after this one is going to follow up on these characters. So, technically it's not the end, but kind of it is. So I hope you look forward to that. And as always, if you haven't, like, comment, and subscribe, your support is greatly appreciated. I will see you guys next time.